Hey, GB1, I just realized we're getting really close to Halloween and there's no place to tell spooky stories in our time machine. We gotta fix this. Well, the whole haunted mansion and graveyard thing's been way overdone. What about a lighthouse? And not just any lighthouse. We can build the Metal Time Sailor's Companion. This thing will be amazing. It has a light that turns and everything. You gotta trust me on this one. Lighthouses are super creepy. And if we build it, I'm sure you'll love it. Give me a chance here. Hey everyone, and welcome to Groove Builders, the show where we create together. I'm your host, Disorderly Cone, and this little scaredy cat over here is GB1. Oh yeah? Well then prove it. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Sailor's Companion from our friends over at Metal Time. And this model promises to be pretty interesting with its long pieces and of course motorized movement functions. How will this all go together? What are the tricky bits? And will it actually work when it's all put together? These are all great questions, Groovers, and we're going to get the answers. Let's get down to the workbench and take a look at the package.
And boo! There we have it, all of our pages needed to build the Sailor's Companion from Metal Time. Yep, there's not a whole lot of parts here, but we do get to try our hand at some wiring. The first thing we're going to take a look at is some of our bigger pieces and how to shape them to make them look nice. Next, we'll touch on the wiring and tell you everything you need to know to get that light on and moving. Finally, we'll talk about some of our smaller details like our dome and rails and show you how to connect all these together without warping them by mistake. It looks like we have our work cut out for us. I wonder what tools we'll need. Timothy?
Are you building a haunted model?
Nope, normal model, but nice costume there.
I made it myself. I'm a dog. But, the Metal Time Sailor's Companion is a model that combines both mechanical and electrical engineering. With just over 31 parts to form and connect together, the tools you will need are nippers, pliers, tweezers, dapping punches, and a rasp. Okay, let's get to move on.
Thanks, Timothy. Just for the record, he was a dog that was dressed like a cat that sounded like a cow, correct? Okay, as long as we're on the same page. As always, these are just our suggestions, and you really don't need anything but the tools that come in the kit to get this built. But of course, having the extra tools will make everything a lot easier for you. Alright, now we've looked at our instructions, and we have all our tools. There's only one thing left for you to do, and that's to press that like and subscribe button. We're currently trying to get to 4,000 subscribers and really could use your help. No pressure at all though. We're not going to lock you inside of this haunted lighthouse. Well, no, that wouldn't be nice. They're good. They're gonna press the like and subscribe button. Just watch. Watch. Oh! Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. We have all kinds of cool projects coming out in the future, and knowing that you're gonna be here is kind of really awesome. See, GB1, I told you they would press it. All right, let's get down to the workbench and build the Sailor's Companion.
We start the Metal Time Sailor's Companion by cutting out our first couple of pieces. This metal is thicker than our normal models here on the show, so there's going to be a little bit more play in our parts. When it comes to taking our pieces out of their sheets, you can bend the parts out, but the best way is still to use your cutters so we don't accidentally warp our pieces. Just be careful, the metal here can hurt your cutters too, so there is some give and take. After cutting out our parts, we need to use our rasps to sand down the nubs until they're flush. It's important to sand down all of our parts smooth so that our movements can work correctly and our parts can all fit together. Okay, let's get started with our light. Right away, I noticed something that might be a problem a little bit later. No perforations in the metal. That means as our parts get bigger, it'll be harder to shape them with any kind of accuracy. More on that in a minute. Getting back to our light, we need to be careful when we feed the wires through the model. Some of the metal here can be a little bit sharp to our wires, and if we break them, we'll have to replace them, which is no fun at all. Be careful, and if you need to, use your tweezers to feed them through. Okay, this looks pretty good. Our motor is installed and our reflector is shaped. Let's touch on another part, our main body. This is a massive piece, and because we don't have perforation lines, we need to bend our parts as equally as possible. I tried to do my best here and use multiple methods to see what would work the best. If you have a bending tool, this can help with the ends, but something longer and deeper, like a hardcover book, would work the best. Alternatively, you can use pliers and tweezers to help you with the bends. It will just take a little bit longer. We do need some hard edges for that lighthouse detail, so make sure that you're happy with the shaping that you have before joining the back. Alright, ours is not looking the best, but we can definitely work with it. Let's move on to our second point, the wiring. Now, for the most part, the wiring is pretty straightforward. Let's look at our LED. Using the instructions as a reference, we can match up our square end with our LED. We push the LED pin into the connector until they stop. The instructions show the light flush with the connector. This can be achieved by cutting the pins until the LED sits flat on the connector when installed. Okay, ours looks pretty good, not exactly flush, but good enough. Now let's feed the wires through our lighthouse again, being careful not to strip them as we go. When we get to our buttons, we'll need to feed them through and screw them in place. Then connect our back ends to the battery and motor. This is where I ran into some problems. The Sailor's Companion that I have was a first release, and I think there was some mistakes with this one. You see, all of my wiring is correct, but one of my connectors is wrong. To fix this, I cut the connector and connected it directly. With this little mod, we need to make sure there's no arcing or shorting. The last thing we want to do is take this whole thing apart once it's built. And, well, a fire hazard is never fun either. Hot glue or a proper heat shrink is great to cover this little tiny mod. Once everything looks good, we can put the batteries in place and test our movement. But I'm not going to do that just yet. We still need to talk about our third point, shaping our dome and rail details. Let's take a look at our dome. Domes are some of the hardest things to do in 3D metal models. Getting a consistent shaping with all of our petals is definitely difficult because of how thick this metal is, but don't worry, we got this. The best way I found to go about shaping the petals is by forming them one by one. By getting one petal shaped the way that we like it, we then can use that as a reference for our other ones. I like to use my dapping set to help me with these kinds of dome details, but if you don't have one of these at home, a spoon can work just as well. After we have our petals shaped up, we can go over everything with some tweezers to shape out anything that's out of place. Getting the tabs into their holes can be a little tricky here. I found the best way to do this was inserting the tabs one by one and maybe securing a few along the way. Be careful when trying to do this not to accidentally scratch the metal as we fight to get these tabs in place. Fight this little guy right here and boom! Okay, now we can twist all these guys and there we go, our dome is finished. Now we can add our rails. The trick to shaping our rail details without warping them is to try to do our best to pre-bend the parts before installing. I found by counting the windows and bending the rails in small increments, I was able to install them with very little trouble. Of course, you might have to go over them again with your tweezers to make sure that any warping that may have occurred when you are taking them out of the parts tray isn't affecting the final finish. Okay, let's go ahead and connect these last couple of pieces and see if this thing works.
And boom, there we have it, the Sailor's Companion from Metal Time. This model was a lot of fun to build, and actually quite refreshing given how complicated some of our models have been here on the show recently. This model didn't really have a whole lot of parts, and really the most difficult piece was just trying to form the center correctly. Because of the no preparations with some of these bigger pieces, it does make it a little complicated to achieve the proper shape. But if you take your time and are patient, you really shouldn't have that much trouble. I can definitely recommend this for all beginners out there that are looking to get into 3D metal models and don't want to bite off something too hard. This thing looks fantastic when it's complete, and if you love the whole maritime architecture or just love lighthouses in general, I think this is a must-have. I do absolutely love these buttons on the back too. I mean, just look at this. The beautiful yellow light on top, and then just with a simple little click here, we get a really nice motion. And I'll be honest, the whole thing works incredibly well. Yes, we did have a little bit of a wiring problem with one of our connectors, but again, I do think that that's because of this being a first release. I mean, this is literally first generation of this model, so I can be a little bit forgiving with that. But again, overall, I highly recommend this model, and if you've been looking to get into Metal Time and you wanted something a little simple, this is definitely the place to start. Now, one more thing before we go. Like all Metal Time models, there's one thing that comes with them that you can only wear once you have successfully built the model. And that, of course, my friends, are the pins. Let me see if I got mine here. This is always the awkward part of the video. Ha, there it is. Okay. Let me put my little lighthouse here. Excuse me, Taj Mahal. I'm gonna move you right here. Okay, now that we got everything in place, we can go ahead and grab this little pin, which is a nice little tiny lighthouse. We're gonna take this lighthouse and we're gonna put it on ourselves. If I can get that off, there we go. Now, we have the submarine pin, and I'm gonna actually put this right above here. We're gonna go up. Okay. And there we go. Awesome. Our pin is on, and our coat is looking that much better. Groovers, I had a really good time building the Metal Time Sailor Companion with you, and if you guys had a good time, don't forget to press that like button. For more videos like this, hit subscribe as well, as we got all kinds of really cool content coming out in the future. Want to build some cool stuff and support the channel too? Check out groupbuilders.ca. We have all kinds of cool models on there, including the Sailor's Companion from Metal Time at great prices with fast shipping to the United States and Canada. Until next time, Group Builders, keep building. Until next time, Group Builders, until next time,